All right, peeps. So March, forget about your wallet. Seriously, it's gonna cry, and I promise you that. But hear me out though, because the games dropping are absolute bangers. We're talking all kinds of RPGs, like every flavor you could want. We jrpgs, check. Action RPGs, double check. You know, crazier stories, it's there. So let's just chill a little bit, talk about some of the games that are coming out in March, and hopefully our wallets don't want to, jump off a cliff or anything of nature. Starting off, we have Suikoden 1 and 2. They're getting a remaster. Seriously, they're bringing those classics back, and it's gonna be absolutely wild. Imagine all of those, the epic stories of war and political drama, all those characters, and pretty much a small little gacha system. It was one of the originals of my knowledge. Like when not a gacha games are out, it definitely feels it. But we have the 108 Stars of Destiny, which are all of the different people you can recruit while playing these games. It's like they're giving us a chance to relive those games, but with a fresh coat of paint. Making them look all shiny and new and modern for modern consoles. It's perfect for anyone who missed out on them back in the day, or for us old heads who just want to jump back in and get that nostalgia hit. But it's not just about making them look pretty though, right? They're actually putting in the work to make these games feel like it's a game that came out in 2025. They're updating the graphics, of course, but they're also adding all of these quality of life improvements that we come to expect, making things much more smoother, less clunky, just generally making it a much better experience. And that's what's honestly really cool. They're not just slapping a new coat of paint on something old. They're really trying to keep the soul of the original games while also making them more accessible for a whole new generation. So whether you're a seasoned veteran who knows every character's backstory and everything about this game, or someone who's never even heard of Suikoden, there's going to be something for you. Honestly, this remaster is shaping up to be a big deal for JRPG fans. It's like they are now recognizing how important these games were, and they're giving them the respect that they deserve. Whether you're into the deep storytelling, strategic battles, or just overall satisfaction of just collecting all of these recruits, you're going to find something to love about this. It's like they're preserving a piece of gaming history and making it relevant for today's time. And let's be real, who doesn't want to jump back into a classic like this? I know I'm pretty hyped for it, and I can't wait to see what they'll do with this game moving forward. Next, we have Dragonkin the Banished, which is hitting early access this month, and man, it's got that Path of Exile vibe, but dial it up to like 11 because I got to mess around with the demo and it's pretty good. You got your classic classes, your knights, your mages out there, your barbarians, but each one has these unique resource management systems. Like the mages have vision gauge, or barbarians have rage, and there's also like the different crafting of your builds thanks to the ancestral grid and the fragments, which lets you customize everything, and you can even synergize those skills with your elemental companion called a wormling, and they can also do attacks as well. It's like you're really making that character your very own. But it's not just about, destroying absolute waves of monsters and walking around like you're a nuke all over the goddamn place. But we also have the hub world we can come back to called Monty Scale. It's actually pretty cool. You can actually upgrade the city. You can unlock different merchants, get all sorts of bonuses, and I feel like that is a good thing to do in a lot of these ARPGs. Out of some of the ARPGs I've played, I think I've only seen one other game do this. Now, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but I only seen No Rest for the Wicked do it. Like, I haven't seen it much in Diablo. I have not seen it much in Torchlight Infinite. And I haven't seen it in like Last Epoch. Like a lot of those RPGs, I have not seen it. Now, like I said, if you guys are like the end games or anything like that, and you have seen some form of like unlocking and upgrading your city over time, other than these two games, then definitely let me know. But we also got a little bit of in-game stuff that I got to try out as well. And it was like a little tease. Basically, it's like a little in-game dungeon that we got to do. And then, of course, the wormlings also play a role outside of the combat because they give all of your attacks like elemental properties and you can upgrade them. It's like they're trying to build a really fleshed out world, which is always a good thing. Honestly, it feels like they're building a game that has legs and that will be played for quite some time. Now, I did say a lot of goodness for this, but I do got to be real with you. the demo was not perfect. There were some serious balance issues, especially like when you actually go to play it. It made it practically unplayable because the way the character was and the way the dungeon was built, I was getting clapped. And it kind of made the whole point of this demo unplayable other than just the prologue. But hey, it is just early access, right? Early access is coming. That means a lot of these kinks and problems should already be ironed out. Despite the problems, though, you can see the potential. The combat is quite brutal. The building crafting that you can do with your character is pretty good. And the world is intriguing. The fact that you get to build upon this as you go throughout the campaign. So I am pretty hyped to see how this develops. I am going to continue keeping an eye on it. There may be a future video review in the future for you, because thanks to the devs for giving me a key for it. But it could turn out to be something really special as time goes on, as it goes throughout its early access launch. Next, we have on a list, and this is one of my personal favorites that I cannot wait to try out, which is Atelier Yumia. And it's the newest Atelier game. You play as an alchemist named Yumia, who's exploring this mysterious land. There's classic Atelier stuff. You know, you're gathering ingredients. There's mixing up potions. Just overall being a good alchemist. It's got the familiar gameplay we all know and love, but with a couple of new twists, which is also always pretty cool. Honestly, it's perfect if you're a long-term fan, if you're just looking to dip your toes into the series. The story, though, about Yumia is trying to figure out this envisioned land and how she fits into it all. It's not always just about collecting stuff, though. There's strategic real-time combat where you get to use Yumia's alchemy skills and team up with her friends, making split-second inputs. And some of the turn-based in this game seems very intriguing with the strategy, but it's kind of like real-time in a sense. Like, I love when games always innovate with how turn-based works instead of it's your turn and my turn, you know, like the older days. They really are focusing on the characters with their interactions. It's going to be kind of a heartwarming story with that classic Atelier charm. Think like lighthearted and fun, but with a good mystery to unravel. It's the kind of game where you can just kick back, relax, and just overall just enjoy the ride. And that's really what Atelier games are all about, right? They're meant to be relaxing, engaging at the same time. You get to explore quite a beautiful, vibrant world, craft all sorts of alchemy stuff, and just watch Yumia grow as a character. It's all about the joy of discovery, you know, finding new ingredients, figuring out the new recipes, just getting lost in the world. They are aiming to make it a memorable journey, beautiful visuals, and a story that will stick with you for life. If you're looking for something that's both fun and heartwarming, Atelier Yumia is definitely one to keep an eye out for. Therefore, we also got AI Limit. And man, I missed the demo, and I'm glad that it's finally time for it to come out, because this game is insane and quite intense, right? So picture this. We have a totally messed up post-apocalyptic future. You play as a character by the name of Rissa. She is known as a blader. You're just trying to survive in the ruins of an old city called Havenswell. They're really pushing the challenging combat, exploring this decaying world, and just overall figuring out what the hell happened to make everything just go completely sideways, right? It's got that dark, gritty vibe, you know, the kind of game where you're constantly on edge. Now, the combat, though, which was one of my favorites out of some of the solo likes I played, is actually where this is at, right? They got this sync mechanic from what I've seen, and the demo really changes how you approach fights. The more sync you have, the more damage you do. You can't really just mash buttons, though. You really got to think about the timing, you know, your positioning, and just using your abilities, because the more you take damage, the lesser that sync is. So if you want to overall maximize the amount of damage you do, make sure you're not getting hit, you're not wasting your sync, you're filling it back up. You make sure it's nice and max so you can get the most amount of damage you can get from each of your attacks. Not to mention, we get a bundle of different weapons and abilities so you can really find your own playstyle. Plus, you can also customize your character with equipment that changes your stats and your looks, which is always a bonus. It does sound like they're going for a really deep, engaging combat system that'll keep you on your toes. It's not all about fighting, though. They put a lot of emphasis on exploring the ruins of this world that you're in. You'll be diving into all sorts of creepy places like the old sewers, giant broken buildings, and just watching how the world is just decaying over time. And now it's up to you to just piece apart the story. From some of the little dev talks I've seen, they're saying it's quite a complex story with a lot that's going on, and the whole vibe of the game is dark and mysterious. Like you're really trying to just find hope in a world that's overall just gone to hell. If you're into those kind of games where the atmosphere is just as important as the gameplay, then AI Limit is definitely one of those you need to play. Moving on forward with another Souls-like on this list, we have First Berserker Khazan. I also got to play this demo earlier this year, and there is a video on the channel for both the AI Limit and First Berserker Khazan. So if you want a nice little preview, definitely go check those out. But it's basically another Souls-like. You're playing as Khazan from the Dungeon Fighter universe, and he's a legendary berserker who actually got kind of fucked over, right? He was framed for treason and exiled. Now he's just out for vengeance, out for blood. And the world is just, again, dark, gritty. It's fantasy world. You're just cutting through different hordes of enemies with this visceral brutality type of combat, and it's honestly really satisfying. And as him as a character, you can feel him oozing with rage, and he's just tearing apart anything he comes across, and he's teaming up with some demon whatever that I saw in the game, and it's just like, what in the hell? But I'm here for it. I love it. The combat in this game is where it's at, man. They've really been leaning into that berserker rage thing. It's all fast paced, visceral, just straight up brutal. You're chaining together attacks, you know, unleashing these crazy combos, just demolishing everything in your path. They've designed the combat to be super responsive, so it's all about your skill and how you come across each of your battles. The boss battles are pretty fun too. You can't just button mash either. You really got to think about your moves, plan ahead a little bit. Nothing too crazy. It's not super chess, but you got to be good. They're aiming to really make it a thrilling and intense experience. And like you're actually feeling just Khazan's overall rage and fury as you're playing as him. But it's not just about fighting though. We're getting a nice deep story exploring the themes of betrayal, vengeance, and redemption. And like I said, he's from the Dungeon Fighter universe, so we get to see a little bit more in depth and a beloved character in that series. And you'll just be exploring all types of environments, meeting interesting characters, piecing together the puzzle of Khazan's exile, really trying to make it just a nice experience, just driven by Khazan's personal journey and some of the dark secrets of the world that he lives in. It sounds like they're really trying to create a game that's not just action-packed, but it does have some heart. It's the kind of game where you get invested in the character and just rooting for him to get the dub, get his win and revenge. Now, for the next part of this, we got to talk about some survival RPGs out there, and I got the last two for you for the list. So starting off, we had Chernobylite 2 Exclusion Zone. This builds up the atmospheric survival horror of its predecessor, immersing players once again in the hauntingly realistic Chernobyl exclusion zone. This sequel enhances the experience with a much larger, more detailed open world. It gives me very Stalker 2 vibes. Yes, I have been playing Stalker 2 on the side. It's a good game. And this gives me those same exact vibes. Allowing for a deeper exploration and a greater sense of immersion, players will step into the role of a plane walker that is navigating parallel worlds in a quest to obtain the valuable Chernobylite, while confronting the dangers of a mutated, radiation-filled environment. Now, the game emphasizes a blend of survival, RPG, and a little bit of horror elements. You must manage like your resources, crafting equipment, build a base to survive the harsh conditions. Now, combat is a little bit diverse from what I've seen so far. You get different options for like melee and ranged, and there's other like some abilities that are derived from the Chernobylite. The character development is also a nice core focus with us being able to customize their skills and attributes, influencing both combat effectiveness and as well as interactions with other characters. Furthermore, Chernobylite 2 expands on the social aspects of the first game with a focus on team building and faction interactions. You can also recruit different people. You can talk to, go through each unique skills and personalities and navigate this complex political landscape of the exclusion zone. The game's non-linear storytelling and player choices will have a significant impact on the narrative, as you can kind of see when you're talking to some of the characters. They definitely gives you like that Fallout vibe. It feels like this is if Fallout was set in Chernobyl. And that's kind of like the vibe that I'm getting, and hopefully we get to see a lot more or more possible outcomes with some of the decisions we make. Overall, Chernobylite 2 aims to provide a more expansive and engaging experience, combining some, intense survival gameplay with a compelling and character-driven story. Lastly, we have Atomfall, which is another survival action RPG that plunges you into an alternate post-nuclear 1950s Britain. The game creates a unique setting by blending a retro-futuristic aesthetic with the grim reality of a radiation-filled wasteland. You will also be able to navigate familiar landscapes from Britain, now warped and mutated, as they scavenge for resources and fight to survive against both mutated and creatures and the dangers of the environment. Gameplay does focus on a blend of survival mechanics, exploration, and combat. You need to manage resources, you craft your equipment, make strategic decisions to survive in the harsh environment. Atomfall has also aimed to deliver a compelling narrative. We also get another one that focuses on the social and political chaos that resulted from the nuclear fallout. You will uncover the mysteries behind the catastrophe, resulting in societal breakdown and encountering various factions and characters along the way. But Atomfall seeks to deliver this creepy and atmospheric experience that sets it apart from typical post-apocalyptic games by combining a distinct visual style with engaging gameplay and a thought-provoking story. The game aims to immerse players in a world where the familiar meets the unsettling, offering a unique take on the survival action genre. Now, this month is packed with some goodies even outside of the RPG realm of things, so I honestly cannot wait to see more crazy drops we got coming later this month, and as well as the rest of this year, because honestly it is pretty stacked across the board with some heavy hitters. So let me know what you guys are looking forward to by playing this month or later this year. I would love to hear your comments, but as always, stay safe out there. Make sure to subscribe for more RPG related content, and it's been your host KSD TV signing out. Peace.